Borderlands is a series I truly love, from the chaotic worlds of Pandora to the harsh moonscape of Elpis, from the painful Claptrap to the mysterious Flak. These games have always captured my heart. I've experienced the soaring highs of Borderlands 2 to the opinion-dividing Borderlands 3. No new tales of the Borderlands though, it sucked. At the time of writing this, Borderlands 4 has been out for less than a month, and here I am, someone who hasn't really posted much Borderlands content on my channel. Just a couple of shorts, wanting to share my thoughts, feelings and overall impressions of this new gem and why I believe it stands out. I ask you to remember, opinions are personal and vary from person to person. With that said, I firmly believe Borderlands 4 is the best Borderlands game to date. Period.
I can hear the demons call when they do what they do, and now I feel like taking off, find a place with a view. The pain is never gonna stop if it's controlling you.
Before we continue with the video, just a quick heads up. This video has taken a while put together, mainly because of real life commitments. Work, social life, gathering background footage for the video itself. As I'm writing this, the September 25th update that initially broke the game has come and gone, in what I like to call the Amon God update. In the original script I mentioned that when this game is allowed to run smoothly, it really can be an amazing, outstanding performance of a game, and I feel it was proven right in this. Anyway, back to the video. Let me make this clear. I'm not saying Borderlands 2 is a bad game. Let's be real, for most of us, Borderlands 2 is still the gold standard. It's the cream of the crop. What I'm saying is Borderlands 4 takes everything Borderlands 2 did well and does it a bit better. From a storytelling perspective, the game nails the build up to each encounter with the so-called generals of the Timekeeper. The tension, the character introductions are all spot on. My personal favourite is Vile Lictor. His sadistic and cruel nature are the closest we've come to matching the twisted brilliance of everyone's favourite crash out, Handsome Jack. Again, this is just my honest opinion, but Borderlands 4 truly feels like an evolution we've been waiting for. But I'm getting ahead of myself. First, since I don't really have a digital footprint in terms of Borderlands content, please allow me to share my history with Borderlands itself. My father wanted to do something nice for his small fat child, and deciding that since I had been such a standout act and not joined the rough groups of Manchester's Quality Street gang, took it upon himself to pick up a new game for me, and if you guessed it, it was Borderlands 2. And when I tell you this game had a grip on me, when all my friends were pulling all-nighters on Call of Duty, I was grinding out BL2 content, learning the game, getting mollywopped by Wilhelm because I didn't understand elements versus different health bars, grinding Hunter Hearst Helm's quist. Anyway, because a YouTuber called Yoke Slayer told me a shield called the Bee was there, rip my OG. Playing through each Vault Hunter because even though the story was the same, each Vault Hunter made the game a little different. Hunting online shift codes because this strange chest in Sanctuary was giving these outstanding weapons. And later on getting the DLC because dear old Pop had actually got me the pre-order, so I got free stuff, and this was my introduction to my favourite Vault Hunter, Gage. Then big 2014 happens and I get my hands on the pre-sequel. Even though my friends told me this was ass, I knew I was hooked because I was just happy to be playing new Borderlands, being blown away by the fact we played as dear old Claptrap, being boys with the handsome one, and being double blown away looking like a B-Tech Team Rocket member when we got to play as Handsome Jack. Sort of. And then a little time later, seeing that one of my favourite game companies, Telltale's, dropped a Borderlands game, the shivers and tingles I got, making game-changing choices in a setting I adore, and getting to say goodbye to Scooter due to the voice actor, Michael Newman, drawing worse with his illness, and a send-off in the most Scooter thing out there. Catch a ride, baby.
Alright, y'all. This is probably the end, but you see Moxie or Ellie, you tell them I did some awesome shit. Okay? It's been real. Catch a ride!
Then we get to Borderlands 3, and I know a lot of people didn't like it, and I get it, but I didn't hate it. Sure, the story had lol cow Reddit cringe jokes, but there were still some standout stories in there, and the gameplay was not bad in the slightest. Sure, legendaries were a little too easy to get, but it was still fun to hear the ping sound when it dropped. Long story short, Borderlands 3, it was good. New Tales of the Borderlands. So here we are, after trailers, teasers, Randy Pitchford tweets, we get Borderlands 4. So here's the reason why you clicked on this video, why I believe Borderlands 4 is the best Borderlands story out today, in my opinion. Spoilers ahead, you have been warned. Opening up to Borderlands 4, you were given the impression from the first cutscene you are a threat, with the Timekeeper telling you,
"What use is a Vault Hunter? You are, in a word, mayhem."
A little hype up to get you thinking, yeah, I am the mayhem, you big dafter. Now drop me gear, I'm gonna mid-max your holes. You can call it a cheap trick to get you quickly invested, but that's fine. It's what a game wants you to do, be invested in its world. And throughout the game, it does reinforce that you're not just a Vault Hunter, you're one of the best around. Now, I should point this out, I'm going to be talking to someone who's only really played as Amon and Rafa and not even to a high standard. I had just started a Vex build, as you see in the video, but I really didn't like Vex, so I ended up playing the rest of the recorded footage as Rafa. What I'm trying to get this point across as is, if this affects your opinion of my opinion, that's absolutely fine. I'm purely going from what I have personally experienced. Now, where were we? I'm not going to go through the whole story and point out why it's better than the others in the series, but what I am going to do is hit you with a few key points that mix into the crockpot of this topic. Let's talk about the world. Now, the big glaring point of this is how it's so open. You can go from point A to K, back to F, and stroll to Z. This even involves the caves and the bunkers, with the only areas being locked off behind loading walls is the boss areas and the moon of Elpis, to the best of my memory. Kairos is massive. And it's not just a big open beauty, it's alive. Well, alive as code can be. With the standard myriad of missions and collectibles now being accompanied by before mentioned caves and bunkers, we also have dig sites, world bosses. The world feels big and full. Often when making my way through, I'd stumble across outbounders and raiders battling, or raiders and bighorns battling, or raiders and synths battling. Why are raiders such cunts? Also being introduced to Borderlands 4 was the safe house and silos, and I love the safe house feature. Nothing too crazy, but spawning at one and seeing the NPCs just patrolling and working in their new little homes, surviving under the harsh hand of the Timekeeper. I know it's nothing new having NPCs reflecting being downtrodden. It was just grand. From Sanctuary and the other hub areas in previous games, apart from the main cast, it was just people walking around, kind of just filling space. Now, I'm sure there are some exceptions to this statement, but as a whole, I feel Borderlands 4 just did it a bit better. Also, side note, silos, absolute chef's kiss. Silos go brr. Looking ahead from the massive world, let's talk about some of its residents, and more importantly, the generals of the Timekeeper. Idolator Soul, the perfect zealot, a man so obsessed with the Timekeeper, he aims to release a virus that corrupts and destroys anything he touches. Vile Lictor, the Iridian demon, aiming to ascend past his flesh and become part of the phase on levels with gods, who treats everyone on the August side of the map as flesh to warp to his own needs. And finally Callis, the Ripper Queen, aka Mother. Look, we've all got our things, okay? Nightmares, not just to the sands, but all of Kairos, turning all those she comes across towards her madness. These three felt like monsters, each in their own right, even though Soul was pushed as the first to get you in the idea of taking them down. He didn't feel like a weak link. They all felt like a threat to our plans to save Kairos. With before mentioned Vile Lictor being my personal favourite as this cruel man of science defiling the phase at any chance he got. Just fantastic, really. Unlike other games, I really felt these bosses are built up as obstacles. I know in 3 they hyped up the vaults, but they were mainly just, we have to stop the cringe twins. But with 4 it was, they need to go. Our goal was to get their bolts, but seeing their evil, we need them gone. Truly a hype up deserved, but to show I'm not a total glazer, I will bring up one thing I noticed. Sol is given way more time than the other two to be set up, and Callis easily has the least. Even though you face her again on the moon, it still felt like hers was a rush. Lictor was given a fine amount, but yeah, just felt it could have used a little more time here and there, just really knuckle down on their wickedness and cruelty. In the same breath, we do have to acknowledge the allies we make along the way though. The reluctant leader rushed, pinnacle of his people, Calder, and the eloquent and poised Levane, true embodiment of grace and strategy. Each of these characters are thrusted into leadership, not because they seek it, but because their people need them. And that's what makes them so compelling. They're not perfect. They carry doubt, they falter, they make it clear, yes, we have our fears and uncertainties. You could argue the archetype is borrowed from the likes of Borderlands 3's Race and Wainwright Jacobs, new region, new figurehead sort of deal, but each of these leaders brings something uniquely human to their people. Rush tries to keep the morale alive despite not having all the answers. Calder lens on tradition and the old ways, not out of stubbornness, but as a spark to ignite unity. Levane plays the intricate and often frustrating game of high society, navigating egos and politics just to earn a seat at the table of change. They each have their goals, real obstacles, a personal stake, and through their side missions you don't just help them, you grow with them. By the end their victories feel earned, not just for them but for us too. A few paragraphs ago I mentioned missions, and well, I feel there is something to talk about here. We're not going to talk main missions, we're going to talk about the side missions. There truly are some beautiful stories and side characters to be seen, and there's one I really want to give its flowers to right now. Price of Freedom. These sets of free missions are amazing. Starting like any other mission ended up leaving me wanting more from Joe and Sue. From simple supply runs and puzzle fixing, ending in a love story of a couple wounded by this world and a husband doing anything for the love of his life. I won't explain every little detail of the mission because I truly believe this deserves to be experienced, but I will say this. To anyone that's ever dealt with a family member suffering from early steps of dementia, this one is going to hit like something else. Moving on to the next base of this ballpark, let's talk about Claptrap. GearBox, the absolute mad lads, did it. They made me not hate Claptrap. He's in the main missions just enough, thankfully. His side missions are pretty short but with enough going on to keep you interested, and his personality, well, it's Claptrap, it's 70% of his usual shtick. There is one mission though that generally made me feel something for the little rust bucket, and also the soundbar where you can turn him down. Oh, chef's kiss.
It's like I'm a niño again.
I feel weird. Like there's a hole in me, but not the bullet kind. It feels achy and warm, and it stings, but in a good way. It's nice. It wasn't what I expected, but you still saved the day. Like the true Crimson Resistance rookie I knew you could be. Thanks, Rafa. You're a good friend. You're a good friend.
I may have only highlighted a couple of things so far, but let me reinforce the point. Borderlands 4 is packed with side missions, characters that truly deserve praise. Gone are the over-top toilet humor jokes quest from Borderlands 3, where it felt like every other mission was, lol, I'm stuck in a toilet, oh no poop. Instead we have quests centered around characters who existed long before we arrived. Survivors of the machine's horror. People shaped by real trauma, loss, and even burning need for revenge. There are some generally powerful and emotional stories woven into this digital world. But don't get it twisted, Borderlands hasn't lost its sense of humour. There is still plenty of quests that got a real chuckle out of me. For every moment of doom, gloom, artsy storytelling, there was a joke there beside it, keeping things grounded in that classic Borderlands fashion.
So, you're from off-planet. What is it like out there? It's been a long time.
I have a sizable corporate bounty on my head, so I'm hunted every second of my life. But sometimes, you find a really good food truck.
You are going to shoot more electricity through me than a crypto server uses in a decade! Now, do it! Do it! For freedom! Hear me, Pyros!
Conway, this is the third time the hot singles claiming to be nearby weren't actually. Oh, hi.
For our next point, let's look at everyone's favourite love. Guns. There are a lot of guns, to say the least, along with a solid lineup of supporting gear, shields, class mods, and the debuting manufacturer parts and ordnance. Ordnance now replacing the old grenade slots, launchers, heavy weapons. Personally, I found this to be a refreshing update, especially since I never really cared for launchers in the previous game. This time they actually feel useful. New and returning legendaries are also part of the mix, and from a pure gameplay perspective, everything just feels grand. I honestly have no major complaints, except for order charge weapons. Fuck order charge weapons, all my homies hate order charge weapons. Another returning feature is underbarrel attachments. Now, in Borderlands 3, underbarrel attachments existed, but let's be honest, they were barely worth mentioning. In Borderlands 4 though, oh baby, they've gone all in. From knife launchers to underbarrel shotguns, these attachments can generally shift boss fights from to It's really impressive stuff, if I may say so. If I had to nitpick, I'd say the manufacturer parts feel a bit underwhelming. After playing through the game, I found myself still using one I got back at level 25, not because I was sentimental, but because none of the other new ones offered anything better. That said, it's their first go around with this new mechanic, so I can't really hate on it too much. There's definitely potential there, and I'm curious to see how they expand on it going forward. Maybe some legendary variants, I'm not too sure. Now, who loves nostalgia? Something I really enjoyed about Borderlands 3 was coming across characters we've dealt with before. Zero, Tina, Handsome Timothy. All great stuff. And how did they handle this in number 4? They did okay. Getting the buddy cop scenarios with Amara and Zane, seeing these two have a connection was truly heartwarming. Old friends going on a ride together, the kind of stuff that warms you. The payoff with Lilith, with everyone expecting a death in 3, seeing her somewhat become a demigod was well worth it in my opinion, especially how they butchered her in the movies. That was rough. Moxie. Goddamn Moxie. Obviously there's DLC to come and it'll happen. Personally, I hope we get to see from my main girl Ellie. There's room for her. God, I love Ellie. But this is the point where I go a bit negative slightly. I have to ask this one question. Why does GearBox hate sirens? In Borderlands 2, Lilith had to lose Roland and get turned into a slave for a little bit. In number 3, Lilith loses her powers and Maya. They really did Maya dirty. And in 4...
Nice try.
Amon!
Yeah, I feel it's a little forced hate against their own creation, but now here's where the subject that's going to get me stoned comes up. Why is there no Ava? Look, I get we didn't like her, I agree, boo Ava, but she was meant to carry on for Maya, and she's just not even mentioned. The closest thing we get is Amara looking after Hermes. Now, Amara mentions she's babysitting so Ava could just be doing other stuff, but we saw how Tina handled loss in the DLC back in 2. Maybe Amara just can't handle the loss of Ava, maybe? I don't know, I'm speculating in a dark way. I'm just confused, okay? I like answers, and I have a slight feeling they just wrote her out. Confused, to say the least. So, let's turn the gaze from the sirens and look instead to their silent counterparts, the vaults. And more importantly, the ones who guard their own, the Timekeeper.
All I have ever known is forever. That is my use. Forever. Here. As the clock ticks, I remain still. My order is eternal. You are a moment that shall soon pass. So let's enjoy it.
A presence rarely seen but always felt. Watching, ruling, dictating. Big Boss, the Hoss, the ruler of Kairos, iron-fisted dictator with a warped sense of order. This towering figure is built up from the very beginning of the game, culminating in a cinematic showdown. What he lacks in warped charm of Handsome Jack, he makes up for with cold, calculating wrath. From the very start of the game, we're given glances of his power. When he does this...
There we go. Let's get to our ride. Maybe we can even pick up some of the other prisoners.
There is no one.
Oh, no. He
made me.
There was a time I would have used a gentler touch with these wayward creatures. But now they serve a greater purpose. Now you see the true bars of your cage. You cannot break free.
What the hell?
He killed them. We have to get out of here. Now!
The other reminder that he does not have to control you to leave wounds.
What use is a Vault Hunter? None at all.
No!
Now, the reason the Timekeeper has a whole section to himself on this silly little video is because I believe GearBox did a great job stepping out of the Handsome Jack shadow. I know it's counterintuitive for me to bring him up as much as I have, but it's the elephant in the room you really can't ignore. The Timekeeper really does a great job letting you know he's here. As you hunt down his generals, you occasionally hear from him. Brief transmissions laced with menace. In those moments you're reminded there's a bigger fish out there, and it's the one pulling the strings of this world.
As useful as Fire Lictor is in dominating the populace, I think you could do better. Comparing body counts, you're catching up to him after a scant few days on Kairos. Just imagine what I could have done with your hands. Just imagine what I still might.
So many secrets inside this head. Let's see what spills out.
Vault Hunter, I know what you're doing. I know you're fighting to end this, to break Kairos free. I wanted to tell you something. I'm watching. I'm always watching.
They are watching. Helpless. It's all they can do. I've taken them all.
For millennia, I held the vault closed on my own. It wasn't until people arrived with their messy free will that things began to break.
It's time to clean the slate. Remove these bugs in the system. Stop merely watching and start anew with just a vault and its Timekeeper.
I'll kill you before you can hurt any of them.
Do what you do best, Vault Hunter. But you may find yourself breaking open a prison full of empty cells.
Or simply curl up and die in the poison gas, if that's what you choose to do. Free will is a complicated thing.
Right, I promise we're getting there. The end of my rambling, but I have one more point to cover, and that's the Vault Hunters. New game, new guns, new bad guys, and ultimately new characters to play. Now, this is from me personally completing the game as Amon and Rafa, but also seeing friends play the game their way and clips being posted online. If all that evidence of me making my point discredits you from accepting it, that's absolutely fine, and I understand. But moving on from that, Amon, Vex, Rafa and Harlow are abandoned misfits this run, and I think this might be the strongest the Vault Hunters have ever looked. We have a Forge Knight who throws mighty weapons. We have an Exo Soldier who has craziest aimbot. We have Harlow who legit plays with gravity. And Vex, well, Vex just be moving different. On paper, she might be my favourite Siren next to Amara, but after playing as her, story-wise strong for me, I'm not a lover, but that's just me. Now, you might be wondering, how does this support my point? It's simple, it just feels good. Playing as Amon, I felt like an unstoppable tank hurling axes, swords with raw power. I truly felt like a one-man army, a force to be reckoned with. Even without having fully optimized build, every skill point I invested felt meaningful. I never once questioned my choices, unlike other games where you often find yourself thinking, yeah, that was a wasted point. And after seeing countless builds online from absolute destroyers like Rafa and Vex and mob controlling Harlows, I'll say it again, these Vault Hunters make you feel like you're something truly remarkable. The perfect warrior, each uniquely crafted to dominate. Not saying the previous Vault Hunters were weak or bad, but 4 never lets off the pedal that you are the saviour of this world. A cheap trick for investment, but it works on me again. Now, here we are at the end with my bold statement of Borderlands 4 is the best Borderlands to date. Did my opinion change while writing this? Did new updates, changes, Randy Pitchford tweets affect any of that opinion? Honestly, no. I've been playing the game non-stop, watching my friends buy it, react, farming Splash Zone for this 500th time, and yes, getting thrown into fight for my life for the most unfair reasons imaginable. But every frustrating moment where I thought, why did that hit me? Or why is that a thing in this game? There was 3 times I caught myself thinking, that's actually fun, that's a really cool feature, or wow, new Ellie Goon material. For most of you, this probably feels like a yap sesh with background music. And honestly, you're not wrong. But for those of you who can piece together what I'm trying to say, the game does everything Borderlands 2 did. And it does it 90% better. The guns feel sharp, the gameplay smooth, the story, for me, more engaging, and the pacing a little tighter. I'm fully aware that this game has its share of issues. The UI could use some improvements. There are a few bugs which, unfortunately, is to be expected in today's gaming market. And there are occasional FPS drops. I could never call this game perfect. But to be fair, I, and I believe also you, could never call Borderlands 2 perfect either. Borderlands 2 will always spark the debate as the greatest, and I'm not here to tell you otherwise. In fact, give me another 2 weeks and I might change my mind and make all these points irrelevant. But right now at this moment, this game has done something few games manage anymore. It made me have fun, and above all else, that's what truly matters with gaming. Thank you to everyone who made it this far, rather than clicking away thinking, nah, this MF deserves a hate comment. I truly appreciate your patience and open-mindedness. Everyone's opinion matters, they're all valid, and just as important as the next person's. So I invite you to share your comments below. I'm eager to hear what you think and engage with your perspectives. And as always, goodbye, darling.